Veterans. He's this week's Harris Heroes.
Well, and this thing, I used to be the guy that lugged the camera around. That's what I did, for a reporter. And I liked that job. It was cool, but it helped me learn that part of it, and I got good at that part of it. So now, when I start writing my stuff and doing my own reporting, I know that end of it. So I get down, I'm doing these interviews, I know how to do them. When I'm shooting the video, I know what I want. I'm going to write this, I need to get this. I'm going to get this, I need to write that. I got to get this shot to close it. Beginning, middle, and end helps with the storytelling. So actually, it's challenging sometimes, and I've had help every now and again. I'll get a photographer to come shoot a stand-up. But a lot of the times, honestly, I know better what I want than they do. I just rather work alone, really. And that's it. 8:30-ish. The best stories have a twist. They really do. I mean, ever since the M. Night Shyamalan movie, I can't remember, Sixth Sense, the best stories have a twist. So they do. So I'll meet the people, and I'll go, what do you like to do? What kind of things do you do on the site? You want to introduce them without knowing what the story is going to be about. That way, you're drawing the viewer in thinking this, thinking this, thinking this, and all of a sudden, it's that. Max, anything that, no?
You got it.
All right. I did one about a veteran who spends all of his time and most of his own money when he's not working going downtown to these tent cities where the homeless veterans camp out, and he brings them food, and he brings them clothes, he does a bunch of stuff for the homeless veterans, tries to get them out. So we did a story on him. He would go down and do that stuff, and after the story, I told him, you need to set up a GoFundMe page.
Albert set up a GoFundMe page to raise money for more clothes and food for the homeless veterans. And
gets $6,000 in like a day, and he moves a lot of these guys out into apartments.
And setting up a couple of the veterans in an apartment.
And the story was on Facebook and was shared coast to coast, thousands and thousands of likes. He got all kinds of donations and stuff out of that story, just telling his story.
This is Albert St. Clair's story. He's a U.S. Army veteran, a member of the Patriot Guard and the American Legion Riders.
So I kind of had that all down where he works at a Lone Star Steakhouse, he rides Harleys, and on his off time, he spends that here. So then you go down, you follow him, he makes the food himself, he does the stuff. I do the interview, and when I'm in his apartment, I notice he has no furniture. And I didn't say anything to him about it, but he goes, yeah, I don't have much furniture in here. I sold it all to fund my helping the veterans. And I thought, oh, it's beautiful. That is a part of the story that people, and you put that in, that's one of the things everybody remembered from that story. The guy has no furniture because he sold it. And I mention it in a matter-of-fact way.
He's not really a material kind of guy. Sold most of his furniture to help pay for the supplies he gives away.
His next interview bite, he says,
when it gets really, really cold, sometimes they can't make it to one of the warming centers, or they're overcrowded or whatever. I'll bring them here.
Just little pieces like that, little nuggets like that make a story really good.
A couple of weeks ago, Steve Harris brought us the story of a woman from Redbud who takes food and clothes to the homeless.
The veteran story came because I did a homeless story with a girl from Redbud, Illinois, who comes down and helps the homeless on her own time because her dad was homeless. So that's kind of an interesting story. And then someone saw that and called me and said, I know a veteran that does the same thing for veterans. So once you get started doing that, it just kind of all comes together.
What does this do to you to know how much people care about veterans?
Oh, it really warms our hearts.
The hero stuff, because it's a franchise, we do promos about it. We put it out there after every story. If you know someone that goes above and beyond us, something you'd like to see him recognized, give Steve a call. They'll email. And a lot of it's word of mouth. I mean, people will say, hey, I know a guy that's doing this.
Now, this is something Albert's been doing for about 19 years. So one of his fellow veterans told me about him. I gave him a call.
And all the reporting I've done has been with Facebook around. And Twitter, I don't know how I would have got a lot of the stuff I did without it before. Because I put all my stories up on Facebook afterwards because people like to watch them and see them. They share them. It just really gets you out there.
And at first he was a little hesitant about doing a story, but what sold him on it was how many homeless veterans he could help.
Which is the cool thing about these stories, I can make a difference too. It sounds corny and cliche, but I can. It's not just telling a story, it's making a difference for people. So